Edgar Magnus Bernstinger was a British student. He was born in 1898 in Limsfield, Surrey, the youngest son of stockbroker Avigdor Louis Birnstingl and Cordelia Pike. He was educated at St. Paul's School but died at the age of 16 in 1915. Having considered writing a book of fantasy centered around gemstones, he left behind a handful of stories written in the 2 years before his death. These were then printed for private circulation the same year he died as Destur Mobed and other stories. The first 2 stories concern the Destur Mobed, a bronze lion charm of the monkey's paw variety, as it does grant you wishes but likes to screw you over in the process. Hence, in Destur Mobed, the narrator's wish to allow a Siberian exile to escape safely lures in a bunch of wolves to devour the narrator's companion, so now he has a free seat on his motorcycle. In the case of Galstone's eyes, the narrator's friend Galstone sarcastically wishes for better eyesight, and after a month of this is drawn into a fight in a bad part of town and is beaten to death. There are no more stories of the Destur Mobed, which is a shame, as though they are not polished, they are amusing, and the narrator's lament about the stone taking his friends one by one has many possibilities. The Diary of a Fire Worshipper is the best of the lot. The story of a madman's worship of fire inside an opal, his casual child murder, and his ignoble end while trying to worship his god. Such Have the Color of a Drop of Blood concerns a man travelling to Tibet, stealing a priceless jewel from a divine statue's neck, before being caught and snared from his home by the man he had seen in his dreams, destined to skin him alive, and indeed winding up in a cell sentenced to being flayed. The Bone of Chaka has a pair of medical students having to out-miracle a local witch doctor to save their own necks. The History of the Diamond Gloria Mundi is a story of the various murders and thefts that account for the changing ownership of the Gloria Mundi, from its discovery in 7th century India to its loss by Charlemagne up until the present day. In Fear, a chemist dies of blood poisoning trying to get rid of a mysterious purple stain that he thinks can link him to a murder he had no part in. In an unnamed story, the narrator recounts how he was witness to the collapse of the Albert Hall and the deaths of most of the 5,000 people present, with the man on stage continuing to play until a brick crushes his head. Guilty as Sultan tried to make his rich friend commit suicide by way of a bad forgery, attacking the owner of his fiancée, but it does not work, so Sultan hangs himself. Justice has a man commit a murder simply because he wants to be caught and executed, but because the police can't seem to find him despite his best efforts, he kills himself. In The Perjurer, a wealthy man and a man in financial ruin strike up a friendship in a Soho eating house. The poor man shows the rich man the dagger that he has sworn to thrust into the perjurer who ruined him, and the rich man whispers in his ear that it was indeed him. But as the pattern may become apparent by now, the poor man rather goes and kills himself. Revenge concerns a man trying to get revenge on his enemy by shattering a mirror just as the man is looking into it as a sort of voodoo charm. But he then makes the error to look into the broken mirror himself, and so when both are on a train that gets into a smash, they both end up mangled horribly. The Monomaniac is an unfinished story of a man whose life may only go on as long as his pocket watch is not wound down, and he nearly dies before his friend manages to obtain a key from a shop to wind the clock back up again. These stories show great promise at times, the Diary of a Fire Worshipper being something very much like the work of French symbolism, and the illustration by Bernstinger is great too.